The Arizona sun hung low and merciless over Highway 60, turning the asphalt into a shimmering river of heat. Evangeline Hartwell, Eva, to the few who still remembered her name, gripped the steering wheel of her 1985 Ford Bronco with hands that had once sutured wounds in the hull of a Navy hospital ship. 73 years old, widow, alone. The radio crackled with static, a country station fading in and out like a heartbeat. She reached to adjust it, then stopped. What did it matter? There was no one waiting for her at home. No one to ask how the doctor's appointment went. No one to notice if she didn't come home at all. The cardiologist's words still echoed in her head. Mrs. Hartwell, your heart is weakening. You need to consider your options. Reduce stress. Take it easy. Take it easy. As if a woman who'd spent 15 years patching up sailors during the Cold War knew how to take it easy. She passed a mile marker. 43 miles to Wickenburg, to the ranch that she and Garrett had bought in 1990 with every penny they'd saved. The ranch where she now lived alone, listening to the wind and the silence and the relentless tick of the clock on the wall. The sun caught something ahead. Metal twisted, smoke rising thin and gray against the cloudless sky. Eva's foot eased off the gas. A motorcycle lay on its side, chrome glinting. A Harley-Davidson, big and heavy, the kind that took a strong man to control. It rested against the guardrail like a fallen animal. Beyond it, near the base of the cliff face, rocks a small avalanche of stone and dust. And underneath the rocks, barely visible, a hand. Eva's breath caught. The hand was moving, fingers clawing at the dirt. She pulled the Bronco onto the shoulder tires, crunching over gravel. Her heart hammered, not the weak flutter the doctor worried about, but the strong, steady pulse she remembered from the old days. From emergencies. From moments when seconds mattered. She killed the engine and pushed open the door. The heat hit her like a wall, 105 degrees easy, maybe more. She moved quickly for a woman her age, years of muscle memory taking over. The hand was attached to an arm, the arm to a man, large, broad-shouldered face down in the dirt. Blood matted his gray hair, a leather vest black worn with patches she recognized even before she saw the logo clearly. Hell's Angels. Eva froze for half a second. This man was an outlaw, a criminal, the kind Garrett had always warned her to avoid. But Garrett's voice came to her now, clear as day. Eva, when you see someone who needs help, you don't ask who they are. You ask who you are. She knelt beside the man. Sir, can you hear me? A groan, deep pained. She checked his pulse, steady but weak, breathing shallow. The rocks had him pinned from the waist down, one massive boulder crushing his left leg. She assessed quickly the way she'd been trained. Head trauma possibly severe. Leg compromise, fracture, likely internal bleeding possible. Time mattered. Every second counted. Sir, my name is Eva. I'm a nurse. I'm going to help you. His eyes opened, gray sharp despite the pain. They found hers and held. No. His voice came out rough, broken. No ambulance. No police. You need a hospital. No. He tried to lift his head, failed. They're waiting for me. If I don't come, they die. Eva blinked. Who's waiting? Please. His hand shot out, grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. Just get me out. I'll explain. Please. She looked at the rocks, looked at him, looked back at her Bronco. Garrett had taught her more than nursing. He'd taught her mechanics, physics, leverage. How to move things that seemed immovable. Hold on, she said. The Bronco's emergency kit was exactly where Garrett had always kept it. Eva worked with the efficiency of someone who'd done triage in worse conditions. Hydraulic jack from the truck bed, steel pipe 4 leverage, first aid supplies. She returned to the man, knelt close to his face. I'm going to lift the rocks. It's going to hurt. You need to stay conscious. Can you do that? He nodded, jaw clenched. What's your name? Marcus. He coughed, tasted blood. Marcus Calhoun. Okay, Marcus. When I lift this, you pull yourself out. Don't think about the pain. Just move. She positioned the jack under the largest boulder, the one crushing his leg. The steel pipe extended, the handle gave her the leverage she needed. Garrett's voice again. Force equals weight times distance. The longer the lever, the easier the lift. She pushed down. The boulder shifted. 1 inch. 2 inches. Marcus screamed, a sound torn from somewhere deep and animal. Pull, Eva shouted. He dragged himself forward, fingernails scraping dirt, leg trailing blood and dust. The boulder settled back with a grinding thud. Marcus lay gasping, free but broken. Eva moved fast. Tourniquet above the knee, his leg was shattered, but the bleeding was manageable. Head wound, she packed it with gauze from her kit, applied pressure. His breathing steadied. She sat back on her heels, sweating, hands shaking slightly. Marcus's eyes found hers again. Something in them gratitude, yes, but also urgency. Thank you, he breathed, but we need to go now. You need a hospital. No, he struggled to sit up, failed. I need your help, please, just listen. Eva glanced at the highway, no cars, no witnesses, just heat and silence and this man bleeding in front of her. Talk fast, she said. Marcus's words came in halting bursts interrupted by pain. My friend, Walter Brennan. We call him Doc. 70 years old. Retired military doctor. He was kidnapped 3 days ago. Eva's expression didn't change, but her hands stilled on the bandage. Kidnappers called me, demanded $300,000, gave me 48 hours. Said if I involve police, they kill him. Why you, Eva asked. Why would they call you for ransom? Marcus met her eyes. Because I'm the only family he has, and because they know I have resources. He gestured weakly to the Hells Angels patch on his vest. I'm the boss, Arizona chapter. I can get the money. Eva processed this. So you were riding to deliver the ransom? Yes, but someone didn't want me to get there. He looked at the rockfall. That wasn't natural. Someone triggered it. Knew I'd be on this road. Someone who knew about the ransom. Someone I trusted. His voice cracked. And now I'm out of time. The meet is in 38 hours. If I don't show up, your friend dies. Marcus closed his eyes. Doc saved my life 45 years ago. I had nothing. No money, no insurance. I crashed my bike, shattered my spine. Every hospital turned me away. Except Doc. He operated on me in his garage. Spent 6 months rehabilitating me. Didn't charge a penny. He opened his eyes, looked at Eva. He said, Marcus, one day you helped someone else the way I helped you. I've been trying to pay that debt for 45 years, and now, when he needs me most, I'm lying here broken. The silence stretched between them. Eva stood slowly. Her knees protested arthritis, old age, the weight of 7 decades. But she stood. My truck is right there. We're going to get you in it. Then we're going to my ranch. It's 20 miles from here. I'll patch you up properly. And then, she paused. Then we're going to figure out how to save your friend. Marcus stared at her. You don't know me. I'm a criminal, an outlaw. I know you're a man who keeps his promises. Eva extended her hand. And I know what it means to owe someone your life. My husband Garrett taught me that. Now come on, we're wasting time. Getting Marcus into the Bronco took 20 minutes and every ounce of strength Eva had left. He was 6'2", 240 pounds of muscle and leather. She used the technique Garrett had taught her for moving patients' leverage, not strength. The Bronco's suspension groaned as Marcus slumped into the passenger seat. Eva started the engine. The radio came back to life, Willie Nelson singing about being on the road again. Marcus laughed a short bark of pain and irony. You like country? Eva asked, pulling onto the highway. Grew up on it. He leaned his head back and eyes closed. My father, he wasn't much. Drunk mean. But he loved Willie Nelson. Only good thing he ever gave me. Eva drove in silence for a moment. The landscape rolled past endless desert saguaro cacti standing like sentinels. My husband Garrett loved this road, she said quietly. He'd drive it every Sunday morning. Said it helped him think. Clear his head. He passed 6 years ago, accident at the shipyard where he worked. Welding accident. Her voice stayed steady, but her hands tightened on the wheel. They said he didn't suffer. I hope that's true. I'm sorry. Don't be. We had 45 years. That's more than most people get. She glanced at him. He would have helped you too, you know. Garrett believed that when you can help, you do. No questions asked. Marcus opened his eyes. Why are you doing this? You could have called 911, walked away. I'm nothing to you. Eva was quiet for a long moment. The desert stretched endless around them. After Garrett died, I woke up every morning asking myself the same question. Why am I still here? What's the point? She turned onto a dirt road, the ranch appearing in the distance. I spent 50 years taking care of people. Navy nurse for 15 years. Then Garrett for 30 more. And then, nothing. No one needed me anymore. She pulled up to the ranch house, small weathered, but solid. When I saw you under those rocks, I thought, this is why. This is what I'm still here for. She killed the engine, looked at him. So don't thank me. You're giving me a reason to get up tomorrow. The ranch house smelled like coffee and old wood and decades of living. Eva helped Marcus to the guest bedroom, the room that had been Garrett's workshop, then his sick room, then just empty. She laid Marcus on the bed with surprising gentleness. I'm going to clean these wounds properly, then we'll talk about your friend. She worked methodically. The head wound needed 12 stitches. She did them carefully, fingers steady despite her age. The leg was fractured in 2 places, but the bones weren't displaced. She splinted it with wood from Garrett's old workshop and wrapped it tight. Marcus watched her work. You're good at this. Spent 15 years in the Navy Medical Corps, served on ships during the Cold War. You see enough injuries, you get good. She tied off the last bandage. You're lucky. Nothing life-threatening, but you won't be riding a motorcycle for 6 weeks. I don't have 6 weeks. I have 36 hours. Eva washed her hands in the basin. Tell me about Doc. Everything. Marcus struggled to sit up. Eva helped him, propping pillows behind his back. Walter Brennan, 70 years old, spent 25 years as an Army doctor, Gulf War peacekeeping missions, retired in 2005, moved to Arizona, lives alone in a trailer park outside Phoenix. Family. None. Wife died of cancer in 2003. No kids. Marcus's voice caught. I'm the closest thing he has to family. What happened 3 days ago? Marcus closed his eyes, remembering. Doc called me, said he'd seen something. He was driving home from the VA hospital where he volunteers. Took a wrong turn, ended up in an industrial area. Saw men loading people into a truck. Women, older men. They looked wrong, drugged maybe, scared. He witnessed a crime. Human trafficking. Doc recognized it. He'd seen it during his deployments. He called me instead of the police because... Marcus hesitated. Because he knows some cops can't be trusted. Border areas, there's corruption. He wanted my advice. And then nothing. He went silent. His phone went dead. Next day I got a call, unknown number, voice disguised. They said they had Doc. Said if I wanted him back alive, I'd pay $300,000. No police, no FBI, just money. Eva sat in Garrett's old armchair. They knew to call you specifically. Yes. Which means they knew about your connection to Doc. Yes. So either they'd been watching Doc for a while or someone told them. Marcus's voice went hard. Someone in my organization. Someone I trust. Eva leaned forward. How many people knew you were going to deliver the ransom today? 5, my inner circle. He counted on his fingers. Boone McKenzie, my vice president. Clayton Bishop, our treasurer. Wade Brennan, no relation to Doc, our medic. Silas Drummond, our lawyer. And Garrett Thorne, head of security. One of them betrayed you. One of them tried to kill me. Marcus gestured to his leg. That rockfall wasn't an accident. The silence settled heavy. Eva stood, walked to the window. The sun was setting, painting the desert in shades of amber and blood. The kidnappers, what did they say exactly? They'd call again in 48 hours with the meeting location. Said to bring the money, come alone. If they see police, if they see anyone else, Doc dies. He paused. That was yesterday morning, which means I have until tomorrow evening. Eva turned from the window. Do you have the money? I had $300,000 in cash. It's in a backpack, still strapped to my bike back on the highway. Then we need to get it, tonight. Marcus stared at her. You can't walk, you certainly can't ride, and you can't trust anyone in your organization. Eva's voice was calm, matter of fact, which means you need someone from outside, someone they won't expect. A 73-year-old woman. A 73-year-old woman who knows how to handle herself. She met his eyes. Garrett taught me more than nursing, Marcus. He taught me how to shoot, how to fight, how to survive. He was Army, did 2 tours in Germany during the Cold War. He said, Eva, one day you might need these skills. Pray you never do, but if you do, be ready. She walked to a closet, opened it. Inside were Garrett's things, his old Remington 8.7, shotgun, his Colt 1911 pistol, ammunition boxes neatly stacked. I'm ready, Eva said quietly. At 9 p.m., Marcus's phone rang. He and Eva had spent the last 3 hours planning, preparing. The backpack with the money was recovered. Eva had driven back to Highway 60, found the Harley, retrieved it without incident. $300,000 in cash wrapped in plastic now sat on Garrett's old workbench. Marcus answered on the 3rd ring, put it on speaker. Calhoun? The voice was electronically distorted, genderless. You miss our appointment today. I had an accident. We know. Unfortunate. A pause, almost amused. But you survive. Good. That means the deal is still on. I want proof of life. Let me talk to Doc. Silence, then another voice, weak, older, but unmistakable. Marcus, that you, son. Marcus's jaw clenched. Doc, you okay? Been better, been worse. A cough. Don't do this, Marcus. Don't pay these bastards. Just let me... The line cut back to the distorted voice. As you hear, he is alive. For now. If you hurt him, you are not in position to make threats, Calhoun. You have the money. Yes. Good. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., Old Desert Warehouse, 40 miles north of Phoenix. You know it. Marcus closed his eyes. I know it. Come alone. Bring the money. We will have Doc. Simple exchange. You try anything, you bring police. You bring your biker friends. We kill him. And we kill the others. Marcus's eyes snapped open. What others did I not mention? The voice carried a cruel pleasure now. Doc is not alone. He has company. 6 more guests. All elderly. All expendable. You want to save one old man, fine. But if you want to save all 7, you better follow instructions. The line went dead. Eva and Marcus sat in silence. 7 people, Eva said finally. They're holding 7 people. Marcus was staring at his phone like it might explode. This isn't just about ransom. This is bigger. Human trafficking. Doc saw them loading people into trucks. They must have taken him to silence him. And if they're holding 6 others, they're running a trafficking operation, using elderly people as, what, labor organs? Eva felt all ice in her stomach. During her Navy years, she'd heard stories. Black market organ harvesting. Elderly victims, easy targets, often homeless or alone. No one to miss them. We need to call the FBI, she said. No. Marcus stood, stumbled, caught himself on the table. They said no police. They'll kill them. Marcus, this is beyond a ransom drop. There are 7 innocent people up there. And if we call the FBI, those people die. You heard them. They have someone on the inside. They knew about my route today. They probably have cops on their payroll too. Eva stood faced him. So what do you propose? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, harder. The voice of a man who'd led an outlaw motorcycle club for 20 years. We go to the meet, we play their game, but we don't go alone and we don't go unprepared. He looked at Eva. I need to make a call to one person I know I can trust. Who's Hoyne? Boone McKenzie, my vice president. He's been with me for 30 years. If anyone's loyal, it's him. You sure? Marcus met her eyes. No, but I have to trust someone, and my gut says Boone is clean. Eva nodded slowly. Make the call. Boone McKenzie arrived at 1 a.m. riding a Harley that sounded like thunder in the desert night. He was 58, built like a linebacker with a gray beard and eyes that had seen too much. When he saw Marcus's injuries, his expression went dark. Who did this? Don't know yet. Marcus gestured to Eva. This is Evangeline Hartwell. She saved my life. Boone extended a massive hand. Ma'am. Eva shook it firmly. Call me Eva. They gathered around the kitchen table. Marcus explained everything, the kidnapping, the ransom demand, the 7 victims, the meet tomorrow evening. Boone listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, Boone was silent for a long moment. Someone inside betrayed you, he said finally. Someone who knew your route. That's 4 people besides you. Clayton Wade, Silas Garrett. I'll find out who. Boone's voice was granite. I swear to God, Marcus, I'll find out who sold you. Later. Right now, we need a plan for tomorrow. Marcus spread a map on the table. Old Desert Warehouse. It's abandoned, been empty for 10 years. Good place for an ambush. You thinking they don't plan to let you walk out? They'd be stupid to let me walk out. I've seen their operation. I know about the 7 victims. They can't leave that kind of witness alive. Eva studied the map. So we assume it's a trap. They take the money, kill you, kill the hostages. Unless we turn it around on them. Marcus pointed to the warehouse. Boone, you bring 6 of our most trusted men, not the guys in my inner circle, people further down the chain. People who don't know about this operation yet. Okay. You position them around the perimeter. Out of sight. I go in alone just like they asked. Make the exchange. But if things go south, we come in heavy. Boone nodded. What about the hostages? If shooting starts, they're in the crossfire. Eva tapped the map. That's where I come in. Both men looked at her. While you're making the exchange at the front, I go in the back. Find the hostages. Get them out. Eva, Marcus started. I'm 73, Marcus. To them, I look like a harmless old woman. They won't see me as a threat. She met his eyes. That's my advantage. Boone studied her. You ex-military, ma'am. Navy nurse, 15 years. I've been in hostile situations before. Can you shoot? Eva thought of Garrett. The hours he'd spent teaching her at the range. The Remington and the Colt that still hung in the closet. Yes, she said simply. Boone looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at Eva. Finally, Marcus nodded. Okay, But you take one of Boone's men with you, someone to watch your back. Agreed. They spent the next 2 hours refining the plan. Boone would bring the backup fighters, position them strategically. Marcus would walk in at 6 p.m. sharp with the money. Eva and one of Boone's men would infiltrate from the rear entrance 15 minutes earlier. The goal, get the hostages out before the shooting started. At 3 a.m. Boone stood to leave. One more thing, he said. I brought the other half of the ransom, pulled it from our emergency fund. He dropped a duffel bag on the table. Another 150,000. Makes 300 total. Marcus gripped his shoulder. Thank you, brother. We ride together, we die together. Boone headed for the door, then paused. Marcus, we're going to get Doc back, and we're going to bury whoever did this to you. After Boone left, the house fell silent. Eva made coffee. Marcus sat at the table staring at the map. You should sleep, Eva said, setting a cup in front of him. You're injured. You need rest. Can't sleep. Not until this is done. Eva sat across from him. Tell me about Doc. Really tell me. Why is he so important to you? Marcus wrapped his hands around the coffee cup. The steam rose between them. 1979. I was 23, angry at the world. My dad had just drunk himself to death. I had nothing. No family, no future. I was riding too fast, too reckless. Hit a patch of gravel, crashed hard, broke my back in 3 places. He stared into the coffee. I woke up in Doc's garage. He'd found me on the side of the road, loaded me into his truck, took me home. Operated on me on his workbench with veterinary tools because I had no insurance, no way to pay for a real hospital. That's incredible. He saved my life, and then for 6 months he nursed me back to health, taught me to walk again. Never asked for money, never asked for anything. Marcus looked up and eyes bright. When I could finally walk, I asked him why. Why help a stranger, he said. Because I'm a doctor, and doctors save lives. That's the whole job. Eva felt her throat tighten. I told him I'd pay him back. He said, don't pay me back. Pay it forward. Help someone else the way I helped you. Marcus's voice cracked. I've been trying to live up to that for 45 years, and now he needs me, and I can barely walk. Eva reached across the table, put her hand over his. You're doing everything you can. That's all anyone can ask. What if it's not enough? Then we do more. Her grip tightened. Marcus, I didn't save you from those rocks just to watch you give up now. We're going to save Doc. We're going to save all 7 of them. You understand me? He looked at her, this woman he'd known for less than 12 hours who'd risked everything for a stranger. Why are you doing this? He asked quietly. Really? Ava was silent for a moment. Outside, the desert night sang with crickets and wind. Garrett died 6 years ago, she said finally. Every day since I've been existing. Not living, just going through the motions. Waking up, going to sleep, waking up again. No purpose, no meaning. She looked at Marcus. When I saw you under those rocks, something woke up inside me. For the first time in 6 years, I felt needed, useful, like I had a reason to be here. Her voice strengthened. So I'm doing this for you, yes, for Doc, for those 7 people. But I'm also doing it for me, because I need to matter again. I need to know my life still has purpose. Marcus nodded slowly. Garrett was lucky to have you. I was lucky to have him. Eva stood, collected the coffee cups. Now get some rest. Tomorrow we save some lives. Dawn came pale and cold over the desert. Eva woke at 5 a.m. the way she'd woken every day for 50 years. Habit and discipline, Garrett used to say. The hallmarks of military life. She found Marcus already awake in the kitchen, staring at the weapons laid out on the table. The Remington shotgun, the Colt 1911, boxes of ammunition. Couldn't sleep, Eva asked. Kept thinking about Doc, hoping he's okay, hoping we're not too late. Eva put coffee on. The familiar ritual steadied her. Tell me about the warehouse. You know it used to be a distribution center for auto parts. Closed down in 2015. Big building, concrete, lots of rooms. Easy to defend, hard to breach. Exits. Main entrance in front, loading dock in back. Side door on the east wall, usually chained. Windows on the 2nd floor, but they're 30 feet up. Ava poured 2 cups, handed him one. If you were holding hostages, where would you keep them? Marcus thought. Basement. It's the most secure. Only one way in, one way out. Easy to guard. And if someone tries to rescue them, you flood the basement, kill everyone before help arrives. They sat with that grim reality. We need to be fast, Eva said. In and out before they know we're there. You sure about this? It's going to be dangerous. Eva thought of Garrett, of the stories he'd told about his service, the firefights in Germany during the Cold War, the close calls the friends lost. He'd always said, when it matters, you don't think, you just act. I'm sure, she said. They spent the morning preparing. Marcus cleaned and loaded the weapons despite his injured leg. Eva went through her old Navy medical kit, made sure she had bandages, tourniquets, emergency supplies. At noon, Boone returned with 6 men, hard-looking bikers all over 50, all veterans of the club's roughest years. Men who knew how to fight and when to ask questions. Boone introduced them. This is Dalton, Knox, Pierce, Remington, Stone, and Holloway. All solid, all loyal. Marcus briefed them on the plan. No one questioned it. No one asked why they were risking their lives for one old doctor and 6 strangers. Brotherhood didn't ask why. Brotherhood just showed up. At 3 p.m., they loaded into vehicles. Boone and the 6 bikers took 3 pickup trucks, would position themselves around the warehouse an hour before the meet. Marcus would ride with Eva in the Bronco, arrive exactly at 6 p.m. Before they left, Eva went to her bedroom, opened the closet where Garrett's things still hung. His old army jacket, his boots, his dog tags. She took down a photograph from the shelf. Their wedding day, 1973. Both of them young, smiling, the whole world ahead of them. I'm doing something today that might get me killed, she whispered to the photo. But I think you'd understand. I think you'd be proud. She kissed the frame, put it back. In the kitchen, Marcus was strapping on a shoulder holster, wincing as the movement pulled in his injured ribs. You ready? Eva asked. He looked at her. This woman who'd saved his life, who'd opened her home, who was now preparing to walk into hell with him. Eva, if something happens, nothing's going to happen. But if it does, I want you to know, you gave me something I thought I'd lost. What's that? Faith in people. He smiled, tired but genuine. Thank you. Eva squeezed his shoulder. Thank your friend Doc, when we get him out. They walked to the Bronco together. The sun was beginning its descent toward the horizon. In 3 hours it would be dark. In 3 hours, 7 lives would either be saved or lost. Eva started the engine. The radio came to life, Johnny Cash singing Ring of Fire. Marcus laughed despite everything. Appropriate. Let's hope we don't get burned, Eva said, and pulled onto the highway. The desert stretched before them, endless and unforgiving. Somewhere ahead, Doc Brennan was waiting. Somewhere ahead, 6 other people were praying for rescue. And somewhere ahead, in an abandoned warehouse, men who trafficked in human lives were preparing for their final transaction. Eva pressed down on the gas. They had 36 hours worth of hope riding on the next 3. It would have to be enough. The drive to Phoenix took 90 minutes. Eva kept the Bronco steady at 70 miles per hour, watching the desert roll past. Marcus sat silent, staring out the window. Finally, he spoke. What if I'm wrong? About what? About Boone. About trusting him. Marcus's voice was tight. What if he's the one who betrayed me? What if we're walking into a trap he helped set? Eva didn't answer immediately. She'd been thinking the same thing. You've known him for 30 years, she said finally. I've known Clayton for 25. Wade for 15. Silas for a decade. Any of them could have turned. But you called Boone, not the others. Because my gut says he's clean. But guts can be wrong. Eva thought about Garrett. About the times he'd had to trust his fellow soldiers with his life. The terrifying act of faith that military service required. My husband told me once, she said, that trust is a gamble. Every time you trust someone, you're betting your life on their character. But the alternative, trusting no one that's not living, that's just existing in fear. Marcus looked at her. What if the gamble doesn't pay off? Then we fight our way out. Eva's voice was calm, matter of fact. But we don't have a choice. 7 people are depending on us. We can't save them alone. You're right. Marcus rubbed his face. I know you're right. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, put it on speaker. Calhoun. The distorted voice came through. Change of plans? Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. What change? We have new information about your activities today, about your friends. Eva's blood went cold. We know you called in, backup Calhoun. We know you're not coming alone. Very disappointing. I don't know what you're talking about. Old Desert Warehouse is no longer the location. We're moving the meet. New place, old mining camp, 20 miles north of the original site. 6 p.m. still. Same rules, but this time, the voice turned icy. We'll be watching for your friends. If we see them, everyone dies. Starting with Doc. The line went dead. Marcus stared at the phone. Eva pulled the Bronco onto the shoulder, killed the engine. They know, Marcus said quietly. Someone told them about Boone. Who knows? We called Boone. Only the people in this truck. Marcus met her eyes. Unless Boone told someone, or unless someone's listening. Eva thought fast. Your phone, could it be tapped? Marcus looked at the device like it might bite him. I don't know. Maybe. Give it to me. He handed it over. Eva rolled down the window, threw the phone as hard as she could into the desert. Hey, if it's compromised, they're tracking us right now. She started the engine again, pulled back onto the highway. We assume they know everything we've said, everything we've planned, which means the plan is blown, which means we need a new plan. Ava drove in silence for a moment, thinking. Call Boone from my phone. Tell him about the location change. Marcus used Eva's phone dialed from memory. Boone answered on the first ring. Yeah, it's Marcus. They changed the location. Old mining camp instead of the warehouse. A pause. How'd they know about the warehouse? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Marcus's voice was hard. Where are you? 30 minutes out from the original site with the boys. Turn around. Head to the new location. But Boone, be invisible. They're looking for backup. If they spot you, people die. Understood. Marcus, how'd they know? I'll find out. After we save Doc. He hung up. Eva and Marcus sat in silence as the miles rolled past. Someone in your organization is feeding them information, Eva said finally. Real-time information. Which means it's not just about the ransom. It's personal. Someone wants me dead. Or someone is being blackmailed, threatened, forced to cooperate. Marcus considered this. It's possible these traffickers, they're not amateurs. They know how to leverage people. Who in your inner circle has vulnerabilities? Family they'd kill to protect. Secrets that could be exposed, Marcus thought. Clayton's wife has Alzheimer's. Care facility costs $8,000 a month. He's struggling financially. Wade's daughter is in rehab third time. Silas is going through an ugly divorce. Garrett Thorne. I don't know much about his personal life. He keeps it private. Any of them capable of betrayal. 6 months ago, I'd have said no. Now, Marcus's voice was bleak. I don't know anything anymore. They drove on. The sun sank lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Somewhere ahead, Doc was waiting. Somewhere ahead, 6 other people were praying. And somewhere ahead, someone Marcus trusted was waiting to betray him again. They stopped at a gas station 20 miles from the mining camp. Eva filled the tank while Marcus studied a map of the area. The mining camp was old, abandoned since the 1960s. A relic of Arizona's copper boom. Now just ruins and dust. Perfect place for an ambush. Eva came back to the truck, found Marcus writing something on a piece of paper. What's that letter? For Doc. He kept writing. In case I don't make it out. Eva sat beside him. You'll make it out. Maybe, maybe not. He finished writing, folded the paper, tucked it in his vest pocket. But I need him to know that I tried, that I kept my promise. They sat in silence. Tell me about Garrett, Marcus said quietly. How'd you two meet? Eva smiled, remembering. Naval Hospital, Norfolk, Virginia, 1972. He came in with a welding burn on his arm. I treated it. He asked me to dinner. I said no. Hard to get practical. Dating sailors was a bad idea. They ship out, they don't come back. Your heart breaks. She laughed softly. He came back every day for 2 weeks. Different excuses. Headache. Sprained ankle. Once he claimed he'd swallowed a nickel. Did he? No, but he was persistent. Finally, I said yes to dinner. We got married 6 months later. 45 years. 45 years. Some of them hard. Some of them beautiful. All of them worth it. Eva looked at Marcus. He taught me that life isn't about how long you live. It's about what you do with the time you have, the people you help, the promises you keep. Marcus nodded slowly. Doc taught me the same thing. Then let's make them both proud. At 5:30 p.m., they pulled off the highway onto a dirt road that led to the old mining camp. The sun was nearly gone now, the desert cooling fast. Shadows stretched, long and dark. Eva killed the engine a quarter mile from the camp. We walk from here, she said. They're watching the road to you. They gathered their supplies. Eva took the Remington shotgun, made sure it was loaded. 5 shells. She had 20 more in her pockets. Marcus took the Colt 1911, checked the magazine. Full, 8 rounds. Not much against however many men were waiting, but it would have to do. They walked in silence, Eva supporting Marcus's weight when his injured leg gave out. Ahead, the mining camp materialized from the gloom. Old wooden buildings half collapsed, rusted equipment, a deep pit where copper had once been extracted, and lights. Generator-powered floodlights illuminating the central clearing. 3 SUVs parked in a semicircle. Men with rifles standing guard. And in the center, tied to chairs, 7 people. Elderly, terrified, dirty and bruised but alive. Eva's breath caught. One of them was Doc. She recognized him from Marcus's description. 70 years old, white-haired, thin, but with eyes that still held defiance. The other 6'3" women, 3 men, all over 60. All looking like they'd been through hell. A man stepped forward from the shadows. Tall, muscular 40-something. Military bearing, cold eyes. "Calhoun vow," he said, "right on time." Marcus stepped forward, bag of money in hand. "Let them go." The man, their leader, clearly smiled. "First the money, first let them go, yeah." "That's not how this works." The leader gestured, and 2 of his men grabbed Doc's chair, dragged it forward. "You want proof he's alive? Here's your proof. Now the money, or we start cutting off fingers." Eva stood back in shadow, shotgun hidden behind her leg. They didn't seem to notice her. Just another old woman. Harmless. Marcus threw the bag. It landed at the leader's feet. 300,000. Count it. The leader knelt, unzipped the bag, rifled through stacks of bills, nodded to his men. "It's all here." He stood, smiled. "Good. Now for the fun part." He pulled out a pistol, aimed it at Doc's head. "Wait." Marcus started forward. "You really thought we'd let you walk away?" The leader laughed. "You've seen our operation. You know about the others. We can't have witnesses. You have the money. That was the deal." "Deals change." The leader cocked the hammer. "Any last words, old man?" Doc looked past the gun, looked at Marcus. "It's okay, son," Doc said quietly. "You did good. You kept your promise." Marcus's hand moved toward his gun. Too slow. He'd never make it. Eva stepped forward, raised the Remington. "Drop it," she said calmly, "or I drop you." Every gun in the clearing swung toward her. The leader turned, saw her, an old woman with a shotgun. He laughed. "Grandma put that down before you hurt yourself." "I've been shooting since before you were born," Eva said, "and at this range, I don't miss." The clearing went silent. Marcus used the distraction, drew the Colt, aimed at the nearest gunman. "Stalemate," Marcus said. "You kill Doc, we kill you. Nobody wins." The leader's smile faded. "You're outnumbered 10-2. "But you're the closest target," Eva said, "and my finger's getting tired." A standoff. 10 seconds. 20. Then from the darkness beyond the floodlights, engines roaring. Boone and 6 bikers burst into the clearing on Harley's, guns drawn. The leader's expression twisted. "Kill them all." Gunfire erupted. Eva dove for cover behind a rusted ore cart, pulling Doc's chair with her. The rescue had begun. And in the chaos and the smoke and the thunder of guns, Eva had one thought. "Please, Garrett, let me save them. Just this once. Let me save them all." The world exploded into noise and fire. Eva pressed herself against the ore cart, feeling the vibration of bullets slamming into rusted metal. Doc's chair had tipped sideways when she'd pulled him to cover. He lay on his side, still bound, eyes wide but focused. "You okay?" Eva shouted over the gunfire. "Define okay," Doc shouted back. Eva risked a glance around the cart. The clearing had become a war zone. Boone and his 6 bikers had scattered, using the SUVs and mining equipment as cover. They were outnumbered but not outgunned. The traffickers' men were spreading out, trying to flank. Marcus had taken position behind a concrete barrier, firing carefully. His injured leg made him slow, but his aim was steady. One trafficker went down, clutching his shoulder. The leader, the one who'd been about to execute Doc, had retreated behind one of the SUVs. He was shouting orders, coordinating his men with military precision. Eva counted quickly. 10 armed men total, 3 down already thanks to Boone's initial charge. 7 still active. And in the center of it all, still tied to chairs in the open, completely exposed, the 6 other hostages, 3 elderly women huddled together screaming. 3 elderly men trying to shield the women with their bodies despite being bound. They were going to die in the crossfire. Eva made her decision in half a second. She stood, pumped the Remington, and ran. Not toward cover, toward the hostages. "Eva," Marcus's voice behind her, urgent and terrified. She didn't stop. Bullets kicked up dust at her feet. She heard the crack of a round passing close to her head. Didn't matter. She reached the first chair, a woman maybe 70, gray-haired and sobbing. Eva grabbed the chair, dragged it backward toward the ore cart. The woman weighed maybe 110 pounds. The chair added another 20. Eva's back screamed in protest, her 73-year-old muscles burning. She made it to cover, dumped the woman next to Doc. "Stay down," Eva commanded. She went back for the next one. A man this time heavier. 75 if he was a day, face weathered like old leather. Former military, maybe he had that look. Come on, soldier, Eva grunted, pulling. Help me out here. The man tried to hop the chair backward as she pulled. Together they made it to the ore cart. 4 more to go. Boone saw what she was doing. He laid down covering fire, forcing the traffickers to keep their heads down. Marcus did the same from his position. Eva grabbed the third hostage, another woman, this one maybe 65, younger than the others. A nurse, Eva thought. Something about the way she held herself. What's your name? Eva asked, dragging the chair. Sarah, the woman stammered. Well, Sarah, we're getting you out of here. 3 down, 3 to go. Eva's heart hammered. Her breath came in ragged gasps. She wasn't 20 anymore, wasn't 40. Every muscle screamed, but Garrett's voice was in her head. When it matters, you don't think. You just act. She grabbed the 4th hostage. That's when the traffickers realized what she was doing. The old bitch is freeing them, someone shouted. Gunfire intensified. A round punched through the wooden post 6 inches from Eva's head. She kept pulling. Marcus and Boone redoubled their covering fire. One of the bikers Stone Eva thought charged from cover with a battle cry, drawing fire away from her. Eva got the 4th hostage to safety, a woman older with kind eyes despite the terror. Thank you, the woman whispered. Thank you. Thank you. Save it for when we're out, Eva said, already turning back. 2 more, Sisano. The 5th hostage was the heaviest yet. A big man, maybe 6'4", probably 240. Former construction worker, Eva guessed from his calloused hands. She grabbed the chair, pulled with everything she had. It barely moved. Come on, Eva hissed. Come on. The man rocked the chair, trying to help. Inch by inch, they moved toward cover. A bullet hit the ground between them. Then another. Boone was shouting something Eva couldn't hear. Marcus stood from cover, emptying his Colt at the traffickers, giving Eva those crucial seconds. She got the big man to the ore cart, collapsed against the metal, gasping. 1 more. Just 1 more. Eva looked across the clearing. The last hostage, a man thin, probably 70, sat alone in the killing zone. His eyes found Eva's. He shook his head, mouthed the words, "Leave me." Like hell, Eva muttered. She started across the clearing again. That's when she heard the click behind her head, the cold press of a gun barrel against her skull. Drop it, Grandma, a voice said. Eva froze. The Remington fell from her hands. She turned slowly. One of the traffickers stood there, maybe 30 years old, wild-eyed and angry. He'd flanked around during the chaos. Stupid old woman, he spat. You should have stayed home. Baked cookies. Died in your sleep like old people are supposed to. Eva looked at him calmly. Son, I've been shot at by people a lot scarier than you. His finger tightened on the trigger. Doc's voice cut through. Hey! The trafficker turned his head. Doc, hands still bound, had somehow managed to grab a rock. He threw it with surprising accuracy. It hit the trafficker in the face. Not hard enough to do real damage, but hard enough to make him flinch. Eva moved. 60 years of training took over. She grabbed the trafficker's gun hand, twisted it outward the way Garrett had taught on her. The gun fired wild, harmless. She drove her knee into his groin. As he doubled over, she brought her elbow down on the back of his neck. He dropped like a stone. Eva picked up the Remington, chambered a fresh round. Thanks, Doc. Anytime, ma'am. Eva ran for the last hostage. This time, no one tried to stop her. She grabbed the chair, dragged the man to safety. 6 hostages secured, plus Doc. 7 total. Eva collapsed behind the ore cart, chest heaving, vision swimming. You okay? Doc asked. Ask me tomorrow, Eva gasped. The firefight was dying down. The traffickers were outmatched and knew it. 2 more had fallen. The remaining 4 were retreating toward the SUVs. The leader was shouting into a radio, fall back, to the trucks. Boone and his men advanced, keeping pressure on. Marcus limped forward, gun raised. The leader fired 3 shots at Marcus, missed, then dove into the lead SUV. The engine roared to life. They're running, Boone shouted. The SUVs peeled out, spraying dirt and gravel. 2 of them made it to the road. The third got 20 yards before its tire blew out. Remington, one of Boone's men, had shot it out. The vehicle swerved, crashed into a pile of mining debris. The driver stumbled out, hands raised. Don't shoot, don't shoot. Boone was on him in seconds, tackling him to the ground. Then suddenly it was quiet, just the ringing in Eva's ears, the smell of gunpowder, the ragged breathing of 7 rescued people. Marcus lowered his gun, turned to Eva. You're insane, he said. I'm effective, Eva corrected. Boone jogged over, checked on the hostages. Everyone alive. A chorus of shaky affirmatives. Doc looked up at Marcus. You came for me. Of course I did, you stubborn old bastard. Marcus knelt, started cutting Doc's bonds with a knife. What kind of friend would I be? The best kind. Doc's voice cracked. The very best kind. Ava was cutting the other hostages free. They were in bad shape, dehydrated, bruised, terrified, but alive. The woman named Sarah grabbed Eva's hand. You saved us. You saved all of us. Not yet, Eva said grimly. We're not safe until we're far from here. Those two SUVs got away. They could come back with reinforcements. Boone nodded. She's right. We need to move. Now. They loaded the 7 freed hostages into Boone's trucks. Doc insisted on riding with Marcus and Eva in the Bronco. The biker who'd been shot, Stone, had taken a round through the shoulder. Not life-threatening, but needed treatment. Eva bandaged him quickly, efficiently. You're good at this, Stone said through gritted teeth. 15 years of practice, Eva replied. They were about to leave when Boone called out, Marcus, we got a talker. The trafficker from the crashed SUV was on his knees, hands zip-tied, looking terrified. Marcus limped over. Who are you working for? The man shook his head. I can't, they'll kill me. We'll kill you if you don't talk, Boone growled. No, we won't, Eva said firmly, walking over. But we will turn you over to the FBI. Human trafficking carries a life sentence, unless you cooperate. The man looked at her, then at Marcus, saw something in their faces. His name is Kane Maddox, he said finally. Ex-military, Delta Force dishonorably discharged. He runs a trafficking ring, moves people across the border, sells organs on the black market. Eva felt sick. How many victims? I don't know. Dozens, maybe hundreds over the years. He targets elderly people, homeless, people no one will miss. Where's his base of operations? Marcus demanded. I don't know, man. I swear. I just do pickup and delivery. I don't ask questions. Boone looked ready to hit him. Marcus put a hand on Boone's shoulder. FBI can handle him from here. We need to get these people to safety. They left the trafficker zip-tied to a post called the FBI from Eva's phone gave them coordinates. Then they drove. They didn't stop until they were 50 miles away at a small motel off Highway 60. Boone rented out half the rooms, paid cash. Eva helped the 7 rescued people get settled. They were in shock, most of them, too traumatized to process what had just happened. Doc was the most coherent. He insisted on helping Eva tend to the others despite his own injuries. Old habits, he said, cleaning a cut on one woman's arm. 25 years as an army doctor. Can't just turn it off. I know the feeling, Eva said, stitching a gash on one of the men's foreheads. They worked in companionable silence for a while. Finally, Doc said, Marcus told me what you did, saving him from the rockfall, bringing him to your home, helping plan this rescue. He would have done the same for me. Maybe, but most people wouldn't. Doc tied off a bandage. You're a remarkable woman, Eva Hartwell. I'm just someone who couldn't look away. That's what makes you remarkable. Most people can look away. They do it every day. In the next room, Marcus was debriefing Boone and the other bikers. Eva could hear the low rumble of their voices through the thin walls. One of the rescued women, Helen, she'd said her name, was grabbed Eva's hand. Why did you do it? Helen asked. Her voice was small, broken. Why risk your life for strangers? Eva thought about how to answer that. She could tell the truth that she'd been empty, purposeless, desperate for meaning. But that felt too raw. Instead, she said, because you deserve to be saved. All of you, your lives matter. Your age doesn't change that. Helen started crying, not from fear this time, from relief, from gratitude. Eva held her hand until the tears stopped. Around midnight, when the rescued hostages were finally settled and sleeping, Eva stepped outside. The desert air was cold now, the sky brilliant with stars. She found Marcus sitting on the hood of the Bronco staring up. Can't sleep, Eva asked. Too wired. He patted the hood next to him. Join me. Eva climbed up her joints, protesting, and sat beside him. They were quiet for a long moment. We did it, Marcus said finally. 7 people alive because of what we did today. Because of what you did. You're the one who refused to give up on Doc. I had help. He looked at her. I couldn't have done this without you, Eva. Yes, you could have. No, I really couldn't. His voice was serious. When I was under those rocks, I'd given up. I thought it was over. But you didn't give up on me. You fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. Eva didn't know what to say to that. Marcus continued. Doc saved my life 45 years ago. Taught me what it means to help people. But I think maybe I lost sight of that somewhere along the way. Built walls, trusted too few people. Forgot what it feels like to connect. And now I remember. He smiled. You reminded me. The motel door opened. Boone stepped out, looking grim. We got a problem, he said. They followed him inside to one of the rooms. The bikers were gathered around a laptop. What is it? Marcus asked. Boone turned the screen. Security camera footage, timestamped 2 hours ago, the old mining camp. But before the firefight, the footage showed the traffickers setting up, positioning their men, and then a figure approaching. Talking to the leader Maddox, Eva's blood ran cold. She recognized him. So did Marcus. Silas, Marcus breathed. Silas Drummond, the lawyer, one of Marcus's inner circle. On the footage, Silas was gesturing, talking animatedly. Maddox was nodding. They shook hands. Boone paused the video. Found this on a hard drive in the crashed SUV. They were recording everything. Insurance policy, probably. Silas sold us out, one of the bikers said. He's the leak. Marcus's face had gone hard as stone. When was this recorded? 2 hours before the meet, right after we changed locations. So Silas told Maddox we were coming, told him about Boone and the backup. Marcus's voice was dangerous. He's been working with them from the beginning. Why? Eva asked. Why would he betray you? Boone pulled up another file. Bank records. Maddox paid him $200,000 over the past 6 months. Regular deposits, offshore accounts. 200,000, Marcus repeated numbly. He sold out Doc, sold out 7 innocent people, tried to get me killed for money. His daughter's in rehab, Boone said quietly. Third time, costs a fortune. Maybe he was desperate. Desperate doesn't excuse betrayal. Marcus stood, started pacing. His injured leg made him limp, but the rage gave him energy. Where is Silas now? We called him earlier, told him the rescue was successful. He said he was at home. He's lying. He's probably running. Marcus pulled out Eva's phone. Call him. Put it on speaker. Boone dialed. The phone rang 4 times, then Silas answered. Hello. His voice sounded nervous. Silas, it's Marcus. A pause. Marcus, thank God. I heard about the rescue. Is everyone okay? Everyone's fine. No thanks to you. Another pause, longer this time. What do you mean? We found the security footage, Silas. We know you've been working with Maddox. We know you took his money. Silence. Then quietly, I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. My daughter, she's sick, Marcus. The rehab facility costs $10,000 a month. I didn't have the money. I was drowning. Silas's voice cracked. Maddox approached me 6 months ago. Said he needed information. Just small things at first. Schedules, routes. I didn't know what he was planning, I swear. And when you found out, when you realized he was trafficking people, I tried to back out. He threatened to kill my daughter if I didn't cooperate. Marcus closed his eyes. So you sacrificed Doc instead. Sacrificed 7 innocent people. I'm sorry, God, Marcus, I'm so sorry. I never wanted... Where's Maddox now? I don't know. He has multiple safe houses. He's probably gone to ground. If you're lying to me, I'm not lying, I swear. Silas was crying now. Marcus, please. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but my daughter Oh. Marcus hung up. The room was silent. Finally, Boone spoke. What do you want to do? Marcus stared at the phone. Call the FBI. Give them everything, the footage, the bank records, Silas's confession. Let them handle it. You're not going after Silas yourself. No. Marcus's voice was heavy with exhaustion. I'm done with revenge. I just want this to be over. Eva touched his shoulder. That's the right choice. Is it Silas betrayed us, got people hurt, nearly got them killed? And he'll pay for that, but not by your hand. You're better than that. Marcus looked at her, saw the conviction in her eyes. Garrett was lucky to have you, he said again. He taught me that justice and revenge aren't the same thing. One builds, one destroys. Eva squeezed his shoulder. You choose which man you want to be. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, we do this the right way. Boone made the call to the FBI, gave them Silas's location, sent them the files. Within an hour, agents had picked up Silas at his home. He didn't resist. Dawn came cold and pink over the desert. Eva woke in one of the motel rooms, still fully clothed, having collapsed from exhaustion sometime around 3 a.m. She found Doc in the parking lot, sitting in a folding chair, drinking coffee from a styrofoam cup. You should be resting, Eva said. Could say the same to you. Doc gestured to the empty chair beside him. Join me, Eva sat. Her entire body ached. 73 years old, and she'd spent yesterday running through gunfire, dragging people to safety, fighting for her life. She should feel terrible. Instead, she felt alive. Marcus told me about your husband, Doc said. Garrett. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. He also told me you've been alone since Garrett passed. 6 years. Eva nodded. That's a long time to be alone. I had my ranch, my memories, but not a purpose. Eva looked at him sharply. Marcus told you that too. He said you told him you'd been just existing, not living. Doc sipped his coffee. I know that feeling. After my wife died, I felt the same way, like I was just going through the motions, waiting to die. What changed? I started volunteering at the VA hospital, started treating people who couldn't afford doctors, started mattering again. Doc smiled. Purpose isn't something you find, Eva. It's something you create. They sat in silence, watching the sun climb. Marcus emerged from his room, limping but steady. Behind him, Boone and the other bikers. FBI just called, Marcus said. They raided 3 of Maddox's safe houses overnight. Found evidence of trafficking operations going back 5 years. At least 120 victims. Eva felt sick. 120 people. Most of them elderly, some homeless, people society forgot about. Marcus's voice was grim. They're still searching for Maddox. He's in the wind. He'll turn up eventually, Boone said. Guys like that always do. What about the 7 we rescued? Eva asked. FBI's processing them now, getting medical care counseling, contacting families where possible. Doc stood. I should go talk to them, make sure they're okay. Doc, you were held captive for 3 days. And I'm a doctor. Those people need help. Let me help them. Marcus smiled. Stubborn old bastard. Takes one to know one. They embraced 2 old men who'd been through hell together and survived. Over the next few hours, the motel became a temporary command center. FBI agents came and went. The rescued hostages were interviewed, given medical attention, reunited with families. Eva helped where she could, using her nursing skills to tend to minor injuries, offering comfort to people who'd been traumatized. One of the rescued men, Frank, 70 years old, former Marine, sought her out. Ma'am, I wanted to thank you. What you did yesterday, running into gunfire to save us, that took guts. Just did what needed doing. No, ma'am, you did what most people wouldn't. You risked everything for strangers. Frank's eyes were wet. My daughter thought I was dead, hadn't heard from me in 4 days. Now I get to see her again, see my grandkids. Because of you. Eva's throat tightened. I'm glad you're going home, Frank. So am I, ma'am, so am I. By noon, the FBI had collected their evidence and cleared everyone to leave. The 7 rescued hostages were transported to hospitals for full medical workups. Doc, Marcus, Eva, and the bikers gathered in the parking lot. What now? Boone asked. Marcus looked at the assembled group, men who'd risked their lives because he'd asked, who'd trusted him despite the danger. Now we go home, we heal, we rebuild. He paused. And we remember what we fight for. Not territory, not money, people. That's what brotherhood means. The bikers nodded, understanding. One by one, they mounted their Harleys, fired up the engines. The sound was thunder in the quiet desert morning. Boone clasped Marcus's shoulder. We're here if you need us, boss. I know. Thank you, brother. Boone and the others rode off, a procession of chrome and leather disappearing down the highway. That left Marcus, Doc, and Eva. I should get back to my place, Doc said. Face whatever mess is waiting for me there. You're not going back to that trailer park, Marcus said firmly. Not alone, not after this. Marcus, I can take care of myself. I'm not asking Doc. You're coming to stay with me, at least until we know Maddox is caught. Doc looked like he might argue. Then he sighed. Okay, but just until this is settled. They both looked at Eva. What about you? Marcus asked. Back to the ranch. Eva thought about it. The empty house, the silence, the years stretching ahead with nothing to fill them. Then she thought about yesterday, about purpose, about mattering. Actually, she said slowly, I was thinking, those 7 people we rescued, they'll need follow-up care, counseling, support, someone to check on them, make sure they're okay. That's a big job, Doc said. Good thing I have experience. Eva smiled. And good thing I know an old Army doctor who might be willing to help. Doc's eyes lit up. You're talking about starting a clinic, support group. Something like that, for victims of trafficking, elderly people who fell through the cracks. Eva looked at both of them. I can't do it alone. But together, Marcus grinned. You're incredible, you know that. I'm practical. We just saw a problem that needs fixing, so we fix it. At 73 years old, you're starting a new career. At 73 years old, I'm finally living. Eva headed for the Bronco. Now come on, we've got work to do. 3 days later, Eva's ranch had become the unofficial headquarters of their new operation. Doc had moved into the guest room, the one that had been Garrett's workshop. He'd already started converting it into a makeshift examination room. Marcus came and went, still recovering from his injuries, but insisting on helping. They'd contacted all 7 rescued hostages, 4 had families who'd taken them in. The other 3, including Helen, the woman who'd asked Eva why she did it, had nowhere to go. So Eva invited them to the ranch. Just temporarily, she insisted, until we get something more permanent set up. But as she watched Helen helping Doc organize medical supplies, as she saw Frank, the former Marine, repairing the fence, as she listened to Sarah, the nurse, talking about volunteering at the VA hospital, Eva realized this was more than temporary. This was family, not blood family, chosen family, the kind Garrett had always believed in. On the 4th evening, Eva was making dinner when Marcus's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. When he hung up, he looked at Eva and Doc. That was the FBI. They found Maddox. Where? Eva asked. Trying to cross into Mexico. Border Patrol stopped his vehicle. He had 2 more hostages with him. Elderly women, both reported missing 3 weeks ago. Doc closed his eyes. Thank God they caught him. He's in federal custody now, facing life in prison, multiple counts of human trafficking, kidnapping, attempted murder. Marcus's voice was satisfied. He'll never hurt anyone again. Eva felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For 3 days, she'd been looking over her shoulder, waiting for Maddox to retaliate. Now it was truly over. What about Silas? Doc asked. Marcus's expression hardened. Also in custody, cooperating with the FBI in exchange for a lighter sentence. He gave them names, locations, financial records. Helped them dismantle Maddox's entire network. How do you feel about that? Eva asked. Him getting a deal. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Angry, betrayed, but also, he sighed, his daughter's in rehab. She needs him. And what he's doing now, helping the FBI, that's saving lives. Maybe that's his redemption. Garrett used to say forgiveness isn't about excusing what someone did. It's about freeing yourself from carrying the weight of their sins. Wise man, your husband. He had his moments. They ate dinner together, Eva, Doc, Marcus, and the 3 rescued hostages who'd stayed. Helen told stories about her late husband, a truck driver who'd died 5 years ago. Frank shared photos of his grandchildren. Sarah talked about her nursing career, the patients she'd treated, the lives she'd touched. After dinner, Eva walked outside. The desert night was cool, the stars brilliant. She heard footsteps behind her. Marcus. Beautiful night, he said. Garrett loved nights like this. We'd sit on the porch for hours just looking at the stars, talking about life, making plans. Tell me something about him, something happy. Eva smiled, remembering. He couldn't cook to save his life, burned water once literally, but every Sunday morning he'd try to make me breakfast in bed. I'd wake up to smoke alarms and the smell of burning toast, and he'd come in with this proud smile carrying a plate of, well, charcoal usually. Marcus laughed. Sounds like a good man. The best man I ever knew. Eva looked up at the stars. I miss him every day, but I think he'd be proud of what I'm doing now, who I'm becoming. I know he would be. They stood in comfortable silence. Finally, Marcus said, I have a proposition for you. Oh, the Hells Angels Arizona chapter owns some property outside Phoenix, an old warehouse we were thinking about selling. But maybe we could convert it instead into a proper clinic. Support center for trafficking victims. Eva turned to look at him. Marcus, Doc and I could staff it, run programs. You could oversee operations, use your nursing background and administrative experience. He met her eyes. We could actually make a difference, Eva. Save more people. That would cost money, a lot of money. I've got connections, resources. We can make it work, he smiled. Besides, what else am I going to do with my retirement? Sit around and get old. You're 68, you're already old. Speak for yourself, Grandma. Eva laughed, the first real genuine laugh she'd had in years. Okay, she said, let's do it. They shook hands. A partnership, a purpose, a reason to wake up tomorrow. 2 weeks later, the warehouse conversion had begun. Marcus had pulled strings, called in favors, leveraged his connections. The Hells Angels Arizona chapter voted unanimously to donate the building and fund the renovation. They named it the Garrett Hartwell Center for Trafficking Victims. Eva had protested, it should be named after you or Doc, but Marcus insisted. Your husband believed in helping people. This honors his memory. Besides, you're the one who started this. You're the one who refused to look away. The center would offer medical care, counseling, job training, and temporary housing for victims of human trafficking, with a focus on elderly victims who often fell through the cracks of traditional support systems. Doc would serve as medical director, Eva as operations director, Marcus as chairman of the board. They recruited volunteers, nurses, counselors, social workers. The Hells Angels provided security and transportation. Local businesses donated supplies. Helen, Frank, and Sarah, the three rescued hostages staying at Eva's ranch, signed on as volunteers. They wanted to help others who'd been through what they'd experienced. Turning victims into helpers, Doc said approvingly. That's real healing. On the day of the groundbreaking ceremony, over 100 people showed up. The 7 rescued hostages and their families. The bikers who'd participated in the rescue. FBI agents who'd worked the case. Media. Local politicians. And standing in the back quietly, Silas Drummond. Eva noticed him first, pointed him out to Marcus. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't walk away. He approached Silas. They stood facing each other. Betrayer and betrayed. Finally, Silas spoke. I don't deserve to be here, I know that. But I wanted to see what came out of everything. Wanted to see something good come from all the pain I caused. Marcus was silent for a long moment. You hurt a lot of people, Silas. Broke trust that took decades to build. I know. But you also helped the FBI save over 100 potential victims. Shut down a trafficking network that had operated for years. Silas looked up, surprised. I'm not saying I forgive you, Marcus continued. I don't know if I ever will, but I understand why you did it. Desperation makes people do terrible things. It does. Your daughter, she okay? In recovery, 90 days sober now, longest she's been clean in years. Silas's voice cracked. She doesn't know what I did. I hope she never does. Marcus nodded slowly. Good luck, Silas. I hope you find a way to live with what you've done. He walked away, leaving Silas standing alone. Eva fell into step beside Marcus. That was generous? Was it I still hate him for what he did? But you chose not to let that hate consume you. That takes strength. Marcus glanced back at Silas, who was walking toward his car, shoulders slumped. Doc saved my life and asked nothing in return. You saved my life and asked nothing in return. Maybe it's time I started paying that forward. Even to people who don't deserve it. Especially to people who don't deserve it, Eva corrected. That's what grace is. The ceremony began. Marcus gave a speech about redemption, about second chances, about how it's never too late to do the right thing. Doc spoke about the medical services they'd provide, the lives they'd save. Eva talked about Garrett, about his belief that everyone deserves dignity, regardless of age or circumstance. My husband used to say that a society is judged by how it treats its most vulnerable members, Eva said, addressing the crowd. The elderly, the forgotten, the ones no one sees. This center is our commitment to seeing them, to protecting them, to reminding the world that every life has value. The applause was thunderous. After the ceremony, as people mingled and celebrated Frank, the former Marine, approached Eva. Got some news, ma'am. What's that? Talked to some of my old Marine buddies. Told them about this place, about what you're doing. He grinned. We're organizing a fundraiser. Marine veterans supporting trafficking victims. Should raise a good chunk of money. Eva felt tears prick her eyes. Frank, that's wonderful. It's the least we can do. You saved my life, ma'am. Now I'm going to help you save others. That evening, back at the ranch, Eva sat on the porch with a glass of wine. Doc and Marcus joined her, each with a beer. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset over the desert. You know what I realized today, Marcus said. What's that? Eva asked. 2 weeks ago, I was alone. Doc was a captive. 7 people were waiting to die, and you were living in an empty house wondering why you were still alive. That was 2 weeks ago. Now look at us. We've got a center being built, volunteers lining up, people who want to help. We've created something that matters. Doc raised his beer. To second chances. Eva raised her wine. To new beginnings. Marcus raised his beer. To family, the kind you choose. They clinked glasses. In the distance, a coyote howled. The desert answered with silence and stars. Eva thought about Garrett, wondered if he could see her now, if he was proud. She thought he probably was. You know, she said, I spent 6 years asking myself why I was still alive, what my purpose was. And now, Doc asked, now I know I'm alive to do this, to help people, to matter. She smiled. Took me 73 years to figure that out. Marcus laughed. Better late than never. Better late than never, Eva agreed. They sat there as darkness fell, 3 people who'd found purpose in the most unlikely places, who'd saved lives and been saved in return, who'd proven that age is just a number and it's never too late to become a hero. The desert night wrapped around them like a blessing. And for the first time in 6 years, Eva Hartwell felt truly at peace. 3 months had passed since the rescue at the old mining camp. The Garrett Hartwell Center was nearly complete. The old warehouse had been transformed, fresh paint, new windows, medical equipment donated by hospitals across Arizona. Construction crews worked 12-hour days to meet the planned opening date. Eva spent most of her time there overseeing operations, coordinating volunteers, making sure every detail was perfect. She'd lost 15 pounds from the constant activity, but gained something more valuable: vitality. Purpose. A reason to set her alarm each morning. Doc had moved into a small apartment near the center. He'd sold his trailer, said he didn't need much space. Most of his time was spent setting up the medical wing, training volunteer nurses, developing treatment protocols for trauma victims. Marcus split his time between the center and Hell's Angels business. He'd officially stepped back from day-to-day operations, letting Boone take over as boss. But he remained an advisor, a mentor, a presence. The three of them had fallen into an easy rhythm. Coffee together most mornings at Eva's ranch, planning sessions at the center, dinners where they'd talk about the day, share stories, laugh. It felt like family. Helen, Frank, and Sarah had become permanent fixtures. Helen managed the center's administrative office. Frank handled security and maintenance. Sarah coordinated the nursing volunteers. 7 people rescued had become 7 people transformed into helpers. It was a Thursday morning when everything changed. Eva was at the center reviewing supply orders when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Too many spam calls these days, but something made her pick up. Hello, silence. Then breathing. Mrs. Hartwell. The voice was electronically distorted, the same kind of distortion the kidnappers had used 3 months ago. We need to talk. Eva's blood went cold. Who is this? Someone who knows what you did. The mining camp. The 7 people you rescued. The operation you destroyed. Maddox is in prison. Your organization is done. Maddox was middle management. Expendable. The voice carried a cruel amusement now. Did you really think one arrest would end this? Eva's hand tightened on the phone. What do you want? To deliver a message. You cost us a lot of money, Mrs. Hartwell. A lot of very angry people want that money back. Or compensation. I'm not paying you anything. We're not asking for money, we're asking for you. Eva walked to the window. The parking lot was empty except for her Bronco and Doc's sedan. Explain. You and your friends Calhoun and Brennan, you shut down a profitable enterprise. Our investors want justice. So here's what's going to happen. The voice turned cold. You're going to close this little charity project of yours. Stop helping victims. Stop interfering. And you're going to disappear. Leave Arizona. If I don't what? Then we start killing people you care about, one by one, until you comply. The line went dead. Eva stood, frozen, phone pressed to her ear, her reflection staring back from the window. For 3 months she'd felt safe, felt like the nightmare was over. She'd been wrong. Eva called Marcus and Doc immediately. They met at the ranch within the hour. Eva played them the voicemail recording she'd made of the call. She'd had the presence of mind to hit record halfway through the conversation. Marcus listened with his jaw clenched. Doc's face went pale. When it finished, Marcus stood and paced. They're bluffing. Has to be. Maddox's network is dismantled. FBI shut down all his operations. All the operations they knew about, Eva said quietly. What if there are more? What if Maddox was just one piece of a bigger organization? Doc rubbed his face. Human trafficking networks are like Hydra. Cut off one head, 2 more grow back. It's global, organized, well-funded. So what do we do? Marcus demanded. We can't just shut down the center. We have people depending on us, victims who need help. We also can't ignore a death emirate, Eva said. These people already proved they're willing to kill. They murdered to protect their operation. They'll do it again. We call the FBI, Doc suggested. Let them handle it. Marcus shook his head. FBI couldn't protect us last time. They had a leak, remember? Someone feeding information to Maddox's people. What's to say they don't still have someone inside? They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Eva spoke. We don't shut down, we don't run, but we don't ignore the threat either. What are you suggesting? Marcus asked. We prepare. We protect the people we care about. And we find out who's behind this before they make good on their threat. That's dangerous, Doc warned. Everything we've done has been dangerous. Eva met their eyes. But we're still here, still alive, still fighting. I'm not about to stop now. Marcus smiled grimly. Stubborn old woman. Takes one to know one. They spent the rest of the day planning. Marcus called Boone, explained the situation. Within hours, the Hells Angels had stationed guards at the center and at Eva's ranch. 2 bikers rotating shifts, heavily armed. Doc contacted the FBI, filed a report about the threat. The agent Morrison, the same one who'd handled the Maddox case, promised to investigate. Ava reached out to Helen, Frank, and Sarah, warned them about the potential danger. All three refused to leave. "We're not running," Helen said firmly. "You didn't run when we needed you. We're not running now." By evening, the ranch had become a fortress. Guards posted, weapons cleaned and loaded, security cameras installed. It felt like preparing for war, because in a way it was. The attack came 2 days later. Not at the ranch, not at the center, at Doc's apartment. Doc had gone home late, exhausted from a long day of training volunteers. He'd waved off the offer of an escort from the guards. "It's 3 blocks, I'll be fine." He wasn't fine. Eva got the call at 11 p.m., Boone's voice tight and urgent. "It's Doc. Somebody jumped him outside his apartment. He's alive, but he's hurt. Ambulance is taking him to Phoenix General." Ava was in the Bronco in 60 seconds, Marcus beside her. They made it to the hospital in 20 minutes, breaking every speed limit. Doc was in the emergency room, conscious but battered. His face was swollen, one eye blackened. His left arm was in a sling. "What happened?" Eva demanded, taking his good hand. "3 men, waiting outside my building." Doc's voice was thick, slurred from painkillers. "They didn't try to kill me, just sent a message." "What message?" Doc reached into his pocket with his good hand, pulled out a folded piece of paper. Eva opened it. Simple block letters. "This is your last warning. Close the center, leave Arizona, or next time someone dies." Marcus read over her shoulder, his expression darkening. "Did you see their faces?" he asked Doc. "Masks, all 3 of them, professional. Military training, I'd guess, from how they moved." Doc winced. "They knew exactly how to hurt me without causing permanent damage. This was calculated. Precise." Eva felt rage building in her chest. Not the hot, impulsive kind, the cold, focused kind, the kind that led to decisions. "This ends now," she said quietly. "Eva," Marcus started. "No, listen to me, Mutz." She looked at both of them, and "These people think they can intimidate us. Think we'll run scared. They're wrong." "What are you proposing?" Doc asked. "We go on offense, stop reacting, start hunting." Eva's voice was steel. "We find out who's behind this. We expose them. We end this threat permanently." Marcus studied her face. "You're talking about putting ourselves in danger. Again. We're already in danger. At least this way we control the terms." Doc struggled to sit up. "I'm in." "Doc, you're injured." "I'm pissed off. That's more important." He looked at Marcus. "These bastards put their hands on me. Threaten people I care about. I'm not sitting on the sidelines." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay, we fight, but we do it smart. We plan, we prepare, and we don't take unnecessary risks." "Agreed," Eva said. They spent the rest of the night in Doc's hospital room planning their next move. The next morning they started investigating. Boone used his connections in the biker world to ask questions. Who was moving human cargo? Who had the resources to threaten a well-protected target? Who was angry enough about Maddox's arrest to seek revenge? Doc reached out to his contacts in the veteran community, particularly those who'd served in military intelligence. They had ways of finding information that law enforcement couldn't. Eva contacted the rescued hostages from 3 months ago, asked if anyone had been approached, threatened, or contacted by strangers. On the 3rd day, they got a break. One of Doc's former Army colleagues, a man named Patterson, who now worked in private security, called with information. "The name you want is Victor Ashland," Patterson said. "Former Special Forces, dishonorably discharged in 2008, runs a private military contractor company called Sentinel Solutions. On the surface, they provide security services. Underneath, they're a front for trafficking operations across the Southwest." Marcus put the phone on speaker so they could all hear. "How does Ashland connect to Maddox?" Eva asked. "Maddox was one of Ashland's field operators. Ashland runs the big picture, logistics, finances, protection. Maddox handled the dirty work, kidnapping, transport, disposal." Patterson paused. "When Maddox got arrested, it exposed part of Ashland's network. Cost him millions. He's been looking for payback." "Why target us specifically?" Doc asked. "Because you're visible. You're building a center to help victims. That's bad for business. And more importantly, it draws attention to the problem. Media coverage, fundraisers, public awareness, all of that makes trafficking harder." Patterson's voice was grim. "You're not just saving individuals. You're threatening the entire system." Marcus leaned forward. "Where can we find Ashland?" "That's the problem. He moves around constantly, uses shell companies, offshore accounts, proxies. But I did some digging. He owns property in Arizona under various LLC names. One in particular, a compound outside Tucson, former military training facility, heavily secured. That's where he is. That's my best guess, but Marcus, listen to me. This guy is dangerous. Ex-Delta Force. 20 years in combat zones. He's got resources, manpower, and absolutely no conscience. Noted. I'm serious. You go after him, you better bring an army. We've got one, Marcus said, glancing at Eva and Doc. It's small, but it's loyal. After the call ended, they sat in silence. Finally, Doc spoke. This is bigger than we thought. We're not dealing with street criminals. We're dealing with a paramilitary organization. Doesn't change what we have to do, Eva said. We have to stop him. How? Marcus asked. We can't just walk into a fortified compound. No, but we can get him to come to us. Eva's mind was working. He wants us to shut down the center, right? What if we pretend to comply, Mom? Fake surrendered exactly. We announce we're closing the center, leaving Arizona, make it public. Big press conference, lots of media. Eva's eyes gleamed. Then we wait for Ashland to make contact, verify we're really leaving. And when he does, we capture him, Marcus finished. Get him to confess, record it, turn it over to the FBI with evidence they can't ignore. Doc nodded slowly. It's risky. If he smells a trap, then we fight, but at least we'll have the element of surprise. Eva looked at both of them. This is our best shot, maybe our only shot. They voted unanimous. The trap was set. The press conference was held 3 days later at the Garrett Hartwell Center. Local media showed up in force. The story had legs. Elderly heroes targeted by trafficking network forced to close their charity. Human interest gold. Eva stood at the podium flanked by Marcus and Doc. Behind them, Helen, Frank, Sarah, and a dozen volunteers. Eva read from a prepared statement, her voice heavy with false defeat. 3 months ago, my friends and I were blessed to rescue 7 people from a human trafficking operation. We thought by shutting down that network we'd made the world safer. We were wrong. She paused, let the cameras capture her pained expression. Since that rescue, we've faced constant threats, harassment, violence. 2 days ago, Doctor, Walter Brennan was attacked outside his home. She gestured to Doc, his face still bruised. The message was clear. Stop helping victims or people we love will die. Murmurs from the assembled press. After much consideration, we've decided we have no choice. We're closing the Garrett Hartwell Center. We're ceasing all operations. And we're leaving Arizona. Eva's voice cracked convincingly. These trafficking organizations are too powerful, too dangerous. We can't fight them. We can't protect the people we care about. So we're done. Questions erupted from reporters. Eva answered a few, reinforcing the narrative. Yes, they'd contacted the FBI. No, the FBI couldn't guarantee their safety. Yes, this felt like defeat. No, they didn't see any other option. The press conference ended. The story went viral within hours. Elderly heroes forced to flee after death threats, trafficking victims left without help as center closes. We can't fight anymore. Arizona woman abandons charity after attacks. The coverage was exactly what they'd hoped for. Sympathetic, detailed, and most importantly, believable. Now they waited. The response came faster than expected. That evening, Eva received a text from an unknown number. Smart choice. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Desert Rose Diner on Highway 60. Come alone. We'll discuss the terms of your departure. Eva showed the text to Marcus and Doc. It's him, Marcus said. Has to be. Or one of his people, Doc added. Could be a proxy. Either way, it's our chance. Eva checked the Colt 1911 Garrett had given her, made sure it was loaded. I'll wear a wire, record everything. If he incriminates himself, we've got him. You're not going alone, Marcus said flatly. The text said, I don't care what the text said. These people already attacked Doc. They're not getting another shot at any of us. Marcus's tone left no room for argument. I'll be there, hidden, armed. If anything goes wrong, I intervene. Me too, Doc said. Doc, your arm is healing fine, and my shooting hand works perfectly. Doc's expression was stubborn. We're a team, Eva. We started this together. We finish it together. Eva looked at both of them, these men who'd become family over the past 3 months, who'd fought beside her, bled beside her, refused to let her stand alone. Okay, she said finally. Together. They spent the night preparing. FBI agent Morrison came to the ranch, fitted Eva with a wire, state-of-the-art, nearly invisible. They tested it repeatedly. Perfect audio quality. Boone and 6 bikers would be stationed around the diner's perimeter, out of sight, but ready to respond if needed. Marcus and Doc would be inside the diner, disguised as regular customers. Close enough to intervene, but not so close as to spook their target. If he brings muscle, we might be outnumbered, Boone warned. Then we be smarter, not stronger, Ava said. Garrett used to say winning isn't about force, it's about positioning. At 2:30 the next afternoon, they drove to the Desert Rose Diner. It was a classic roadside spot, faded paint, neon sign truckers and travelers stopping for coffee and pie. Isolated enough for privacy, public enough to discourage violence. Perfect for a meeting. Eva pulled into the parking lot at 2:55, sat in the Bronco for a moment, steadying her breathing. The wire was hidden under her shirt. The Colt was in her purse. Her phone had a panic button app, one press would alert Boone and the others. She was as ready as she'd ever be. Eva walked into the diner. The diner was half full. Truckers at the counter, a family in one booth, an older couple by the window, and in the back corner booth, a man, 50-something, military haircut, expensive suit that didn't quite hide the muscular build underneath. Cold eyes that assessed Eva the moment she walked in. Victor Ashland. Eva knew it instinctively. She walked to his booth, slid into the seat across from him. Mrs. Hartwell? His voice was smooth, educated, nothing like the distorted voice from the phone calls. Thank you for coming. You didn't leave me much choice. Ashland smiled. There's always a choice. You made the smart one. At the counter, a man in a trucker's cap sat hunched over coffee. Marcus, 3 booths away, an older man read a newspaper. Doc, both perfectly positioned. Eva folded her hands on the table. You wanted to discuss terms. Simple terms. You shut down the center you've already announced that publicly, well done. You leave Arizona within 1 week. You never speak publicly about trafficking operations again. Ashland sipped his coffee. Follow these rules, you and your friends live long, peaceful lives. And if we don't, then people start dying, starting with the 7 you rescued. They're very easy to find, public records, social media, family addresses. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Helen walking to her car. See, we've been watching. Eva kept her expression neutral, but inside rage burned. You're threatening innocent people. I'm protecting a business interest. Those 7 people cost me $3 million in lost revenue when your little rescue shut down Maddox's operation. Ashland leaned forward. I want compensation. Since you can't pay in money, you'll pay by disappearing, by not interfering anymore. What if I go to the FBI? Please do. I have people inside the bureau. I'll know about it before you leave the parking lot. He smiled. Mrs. Hartwell, you're 73 years old. You had a nice run playing hero, saving people, feeling important. But this is the big leagues. You're out of your depth. Eva met his eyes. You know what my husband used to say? Never underestimate someone with nothing to lose. Is that a threat? It's a fact. You think you can scare me? I'm 73. I've buried a husband. I've lived through wars, recessions, heartbreak. Death doesn't scare me anymore. Eva leaned forward. What scares me is living without purpose. And helping people, stopping men like you, that's my purpose now. Ashland's smile faded. Then you're making a fatal mistake. Maybe, but I'll die knowing I fought for something that mattered. Can you say the same? His hand moved under the table. Eva knew he was reaching for a weapon, but she was faster. The Colt was in her hand, pressed against his ribs under the table, hidden from view. I wouldn't, she said quietly. At this range, I don't miss, and that suit won't stop a .45 caliber bullet. Ashland froze. Marcus and Doc were already moving, sliding out of their positions, hands on their concealed weapons. Here's what's going to happen, Eva said, her voice deadly calm. You're going to sit very still. You're going to tell me everything about your operation. And you're going to do it knowing that every word is being recorded. You're wearing a wire, not a question, a statement. Smart man. This won't hold up in court. Entrapment, coercion. Maybe, but it'll be enough for the FBI to get a warrant. Search your properties, freeze your accounts, and once they start digging, they'll find everything. Eva pressed the gun harder. You can't bribe every agent. You can't kill every witness. Your empire is done. Ashland's jaw clenched. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Neither do you. For 10 long seconds, they sat in tense silence. Then Ashland made his move. He grabbed Eva's gun hand, tried to twist the weapon away. Eva pulled the trigger. The shot was muffled by their bodies, the sound barely audible over the diner's ambient noise. But the impact was real. Ashland gasped, released her hand, clutched his side. You shot me, he said, disbelief in his voice. You grabbed my gun. That's self-defense. Eva stood, keeping the weapon trained on him. Marcus called 911. But before Marcus could respond, the diner's door burst open. 3 men rushed in Ashland's security team who'd been waiting outside. They saw Eva with the gun, saw Ashlyn bleeding, drew their own weapons. The diner erupted into chaos. Gun! Someone screamed. The family dove under their table. Truckers scattered. Eva dropped behind the booth as bullets shattered the window above her head. Marcus and Doc returned fire, their weapons barking in the enclosed space. One of Ashlyn's men went down immediately, Marcus's shot catching him in the shoulder. The other two took cover behind the counter, firing blindly. Boone and his bikers burst through the front door, weapons drawn. Federal agents, Boone shouted, a lie but an effective one. Drop your weapons. The firefight intensified. Eva stayed low, checking Ashlyn. He was slumped in the booth, hand pressed to his side, blood seeping between his fingers. Stupid old woman, he gasped. You just started a war you can't win. Wars are won by who's still standing at the end, Eva replied. I plan to be standing. A bullet punched through the booth's vinyl, missing Eva's head by inches. She returned fire, careful not to hit civilians. Her shot hit one of the security men in the leg. He went down screaming. The last security man, seeing he was outmatched, tried to run. Doc stepped into his path, pistol raised. Don't, Doc said simply. The man dropped his weapon, raised his hands. Suddenly it was over. The diner went quiet except for the ringing of ears and the sobbing of the terrified family. Eva stood, slowly surveyed the damage. Broken glass, bullet holes, blood on the floor. But no civilian casualties. They'd been lucky. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Boone had his phone out. FBI's en route, Morrison says, to secure the scene. Eva looked down at Ashlyn. He was conscious, coherent, but clearly in pain. It's over, she told him. Your operation is finished. Ashlyn laughed, a wet, painful sound. You think I'm the top? I'm middle management, just like Maddox. You shut me down, someone else takes over. The demand doesn't disappear just because you caught the supplier. Maybe, but we'll catch them too. And the next one after that. And the one after that. Eva knelt beside him. You asked if this was worth dying for. The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. FBI vehicles pulled into the parking lot. Agent Morrison came through the door, first weapon drawn, then lowered it when he saw the situation was contained. Mrs. Hartwell, should have known you'd be in the middle of this. I had help. Eva gestured to Marcus, Doc, and Boone. Morrison surveyed the scene. Anyone hurt? Civilians? Everyone's shaken but okay. Ashlyn needs an ambulance. Already called. Morrison looked at the men in custody. Victor Ashlyn, we've been trying to nail you for 5 years. Ashlyn said nothing and just glared. Morrison read him his rights while paramedics loaded him onto a stretcher. As they wheeled him past Eva, Ashlyn spoke quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. This isn't over. Yes, Eva said firmly, it is. The investigation took 6 weeks. The recording from Eva's wire was crystal clear. Ashlyn threatening Eva, admitting to running trafficking operations, confessing to ordering Doc's attack. Combined with evidence seized from his compound financial records, shipping manifest communications with traffickers across 3 states, the case was airtight. Ashlyn was charged with conspiracy to commit human trafficking, kidnapping, assault, and a dozen other felonies. Federal prosecutors were seeking life in prison. His security team turned state's evidence, providing testimony about the scope of his operation. The investigation expanded. Raids across Arizona, Nevada, and California. Dozens of arrests, over 60 trafficking victims rescued. The Garrett Hartwell Center became a crucial part of the recovery effort, providing medical care and counseling to the newly freed victims. Eva, Marcus, and Doc were hailed as heroes again. Media appearances, award ceremonies, recognition from the governor. But the thing that mattered most to Eva came on a quiet Tuesday morning, 2 months after the diner shootout. She was at the center reviewing patient files when a woman walked in. Mid-60s, well-dressed, nervous. Can I help you? Eva asked. I'm looking for Evangeline Hartwell. That's me. The woman's eyes filled with tears. You saved my sister, Margaret. She was one of the 7 people you rescued from the old mining camp. Eva remembered. Margaret had been the oldest of the 772, terrified but defiant. Is she okay? Eva asked. She's thriving, back with family, in therapy, healing. Because of you. The woman grabbed Eva's hands. I came to say thank you. I thought my sister was dead. You gave her back to me. Eva felt her throat tighten. I'm glad she's safe. She wants to volunteer here. Give back. Help other survivors. The woman smiled through tears. She says you taught her that age doesn't mean helplessness, that even at 72 she can make a difference. After the woman left, Eva sat alone in the office for a long moment. This was why. Not the awards, not the recognition. This live saved families, reunited people, transformed from victims into helpers. This was purpose. The Garrett Hartwell Center officially opened 3 months after Ashlyn's arrest, a warm Saturday in late autumn. The Arizona sky brilliant blue, the air finally cooling after the brutal summer. Over 300 people attended the opening ceremony, the 7 originally rescued victims and their families. The 60 people freed during the Ashlyn investigation, donors, volunteers, media, local and state politicians. And at the center of it all, Eva, Marcus, and Doc. They stood on a small stage looking out at the crowd. Marcus spoke first. 3 months ago, we were just 3 people trying to do the right thing. Now look at this. He gestured to the building, the crowd, the future. This center represents something bigger than any of us. It represents hope. Doc spoke next. When I was held captive, I thought my life was over. But Eva and Marcus didn't give up on me. They fought for me, risked everything for me, and that taught me something. We're stronger together than we ever could be alone. Then it was Eva's turn. She looked out at the faces, so many of them familiar now. Helen managing the administrative office, Frank overseeing security, Sarah coordinating medical care, the rescued victims who'd become volunteers, staff members, advocates. Margaret, the woman whose sister had visited, sat in the front row smiling. Eva thought about Garrett, wondered what he'd say if he could see this. She thought he'd probably say something simple. I'm proud of you. Eva spoke, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd. My husband Garrett believed that every life has value, that age doesn't diminish worth, that we're all responsible for taking care of each other. She paused, gathering her thoughts. For 6 years after he died, I forgot that. I stopped living. I just existed. She looked at Marcus and Doc. These 2 men reminded me what it means to fight for something, to stand up when it's easier to sit down, to help when it's safer to walk away. Her voice strengthened. This center isn't named after Garrett because he built it. It's named after him because he believed in it even before it existed. He believed in a world where the vulnerable are protected, where the forgotten are seen, where the elderly are valued, not discarded. Eva gestured to the building behind her. This is more than a building. It's a promise that we will never stop fighting for people who can't fight for themselves, that we will never accept that anyone is too old, too broken, or too forgotten to matter. Applause thundered. Eva raised her hand, waited for quiet. I'm 73 years old. People tell me I should be retired, relaxing, taking it easy. But I've learned something these past few months. Age doesn't determine capacity. Experience is strength, and it's never too late to start living with purpose. More applause, louder now. So this center is open for as long as people need it, for as long as we can help, for as long as there are victims who need saving and volunteers willing to do the saving. Eva smiled. And I promise you this, we're just getting started. The crowd rose to their feet. Eva caught sight of Boone in the back, flanked by a dozen Hell's Angels. They were applauding too, these outlaws who'd risked everything to help rescue strangers. She saw FBI agent Morrison, who'd worked tirelessly to prosecute Ashlyn and dismantle his network. She saw dozens of volunteers, nurses, counselors, social workers who donated their time and expertise. And in the front row, she saw the 7. The original 7, the ones who'd started this entire journey. Helen caught her eye, mouthed 2 words, thank you. Eva shook her head. No, thank you wasn't necessary. They'd all saved each other. After the ceremony, as people toured the facility, Eva slipped away to a quiet corner. She pulled out her phone, opened the photo app, found the picture of her and Garrett from their wedding day. We did it, she whispered to the image. We built something that matters. I hope you're proud. She felt a hand on her shoulder, turned to find Marcus and Doc. You okay? Doc asked. Better than okay. Eva slipped the phone back in her pocket. I was just telling Garrett about today. Think he's watching? Marcus asked. I know he is. Eva looked at both of them, and I know he's proud of all of us. They stood together watching through the window as people explored the center. Victims meeting counselors, families reuniting, hope beginning to replace trauma. You know what I realized, Doc said. What's that? 6 months ago, I was alone in a trailer, wondering if my life still had meaning. Now I'm here, part of something bigger, making a real difference. He smiled. You gave me that, Eva. You and Marcus both. We gave each other that, Eva corrected. That's what family does. Marcus nodded. Family, not the one you're born into, the one you choose, Baron. The one you build, Doc added. The one worth fighting for, Eva finished. They stood in comfortable silence, watching their creation come to life. Spring came to Arizona with wildflowers and warm breezes. The Garrett Hartwell Center had helped over 200 trafficking victims in its first 6 months. They'd partnered with law enforcement across 5 states, contributed to 17 arrests, and expanded their staff from 12 to 43. Eva had officially retired from nursing to work full-time as the center's director. Doc ran the medical wing, training new volunteer doctors and nurses. Marcus handled fundraising and outreach, using his connections to bring in donors and build awareness. The three of them still had dinner together most evenings, usually at Eva's ranch. On this particular evening, they sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the desert in shades of gold and rose. "Got some news," Marcus said. "Good or bad?" Eva asked. "Good, I think." He pulled out his phone, showed them an email. "Marine Corps Veterans Association wants to partner with us. National expansion, centers in Texas, California, and Nevada." Doc whistled. "That's big." "That's overwhelming," Eva said, but she was smiling. "We'd need more staff, more funding, more everything." Marcus looked at them. "But we could help thousands instead of hundreds, tens of thousands eventually." "Do it," Doc said immediately. "This is too important to keep small." Eva thought about it. Thought about Garrett, about the life they'd built together, about the promise she'd made at the opening ceremony. "Okay," she said finally. "Let's build something bigger." They clinked beer bottles, a toast to the future. As darkness fell, Eva's phone rang. Unknown number. She tensed, old instincts flaring. Too many threats had come from unknown numbers. But this time when she answered, it was different. "Mrs. Hartwell, my name is Patricia Richardson. I'm calling from Seattle. My mother was rescued from a trafficking ring 3 months ago. She told me about your center, about the work you do. I want to start something similar here. Would you be willing to help?" Eva felt a surge of hope. "Yes," she said. "Absolutely yes." After the call, she sat back processing. "Another one?" Marcus asked. "Seattle this time. Woman wants to start a center for trafficking victims." "How many is that now?" Doc asked. 7 inquiries this month alone. Chicago, Portland, Denver, Miami, Boston, Atlanta, now Seattle." Eva shook her head in wonder. "People are waking up to this problem. They want to help." "Because of what you started," Marcus said. "Because you refused to look away." Eva thought about that moment 6 months ago, seeing Marcus trapped under rocks on Highway 60. The decision to stop, to help, to get involved. One moment, one choice. And it had led to this, a movement, a network, a genuine change in how society treated its most vulnerable members. "Garrett used to say that one person can't change the world," Eva said quietly, "but one person can change someone's world. And if enough people do that, eventually, the whole world changes." "He was a smart man," Doc said. "The smartest I knew." They sat in peaceful silence, watching stars emerge in the darkening sky. Eva thought about the journey. From widow living alone in an empty house to this, surrounded by family, driven by purpose, making a real difference. She thought about the hundreds of lives touched, the dozens of traffickers prosecuted, the networks dismantled. She thought about the future national expansion, more centers, more people saved. And she thought about age, about being 73 and just now hitting her stride. "You know what's funny?" she said. "What?" Marcus asked. "Everyone kept telling me to slow down. Take it easy, like act my age." Eva smiled. "But this right now, this is me acting my age. 73 years of experience, skill, and wisdom finally being put to proper use." "Amen to that," Doc said. "To acting our age." Marcus raised his bottle. "To choosing purpose over comfort," Doc added. "To family," Eva finished. "The kind you build, the kind worth fighting for." They drank to that. In the distance, a coyote howled. The desert answered with wind and silence, and the infinite patience of ancient stones. Eva Hartwell sat surrounded by the men who'd become brothers, doing work that mattered, living with intention for the first time in years. She was 73 years old. She'd never felt younger. And this, she knew, was just the beginning. The best chapters were still ahead. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Eva was at the center reviewing applications for the Seattle expansion when her phone rang. FBI Agent Morrison. "Mrs. Hartwell, wanted to give you an update. About Ashland. He was sentenced this morning. Life in prison, no possibility of parole. The judge specifically cited the testimony from you and the rescued victims." Eva closed her eyes, let relief wash over her. "Good. There's more. Using information from Ashland's case, we've identified and shut down trafficking networks in 12 states. Over 400 victims rescued. 37 arrests." Morrison's voice was warm. "None of that happens without you." After the call, Eva walked through the center, the medical wing where Doc examined patients, The counseling rooms where trauma survivors work through their pain. The job training center where former victims learn new skills. The temporary housing wing where people stayed until they could rebuild their lives. All of it humming with purpose, with life, with hope. She found Marcus in the fundraising office on the phone with a donor. She found Doc in exam room 3 treating a new arrival, a 70-year-old woman rescued from a trafficking operation in Nevada. Eva stood in the doorway watching Doc work. The gentle way he spoke to the frightened woman, the care he took, the dignity he offered. This was what it was all about, not the awards, not the recognition, not even the hundreds of lives saved, though that mattered immensely. It was about showing people that they mattered, that age didn't diminish value, that it was never too late to start over, to heal, to hope. That evening, Eva drove home to her ranch, but it wasn't empty anymore. Helen lived in the guest house, now managing the center's administrative work from home. Frank had converted the old barn into a workshop where he built furniture for new arrivals. Sarah stopped by most evenings to share dinner. Family, chosen family. Iva walked to the small garden behind the house, the garden Garrett had planted 40 years ago, and she'd maintained ever since. She knelt beside his memorial stone. "We opened 3 more centers this month," she told him. "Seattle, Denver, and Miami. 4 more planned for next year. Doc says we'll help over 1,000 people this year." The wind rustled through the desert sage. "I know you'd be proud. I know you'd say I'm working too hard, not taking care of myself." "But Garrett," her voice caught, "I've never been happier, never felt more alive. This is what I was meant to do, and I think it's what you were preparing me for all those years." She touched the stone warm from the day's sun. "Thank you for teaching me to shoot, to fix things, to stand up for what's right. Thank you for 45 years of love and laughter and learning how to be strong." She stood, brushed dirt from her knees. "I'm 74 now. People keep asking when I'm going to retire. Really retire this time." She smiled. "I tell them the same thing every time when the work is done. When there's no one left who needs help. When age finally catches up with purpose." She looked up at the stars emerging in the twilight sky, which means never. The work is never done. There's always someone who needs help. And age, she laughed, age is just experience you haven't used yet. Eva walked back to the house where family waited, where dinner was being prepared, where laughter and conversation and planning for tomorrow would fill the evening. She'd spent 6 years lost. She'd spent 1 year finding herself. And now she was exactly where she belonged. Evangeline Hartwell, 74 years old, widow, warrior, hero, mother to dozens of rescued victims, sister to the men who'd fought beside her, daughter of a man who'd taught her that love meant action. She was all of these things, and she was just getting started. The door opened, Marcus and Doc inside setting the table arguing good-naturedly about something trivial. Iva smiled, stepped inside, closed the door on the desert night. Behind her, the memorial stone caught the last rays of sunset. Garrett Hartwell, 1949 to 2018. Beloved husband, teacher, friend. The inscription below added recently, he believed in her. She proved him right. And in the growing darkness, if you listen carefully, you might hear something. Laughter from the house. Plans being made. Lives being saved. The sound of purpose fulfilled. The sound of a woman who'd found her reason. The sound of hope.